Jay, the boys went to the Meadowlands, got themselves a second win in as many tries against the Giants yesterday, and now they're sitting pretty at 7-2. What'd you think?
I thought it was great. Another turnover-free game for these guys. It's been very impressive the amount of times that Jayden handles the ball and all these young players that they don't turn the ball over. And when you go on the road, you play solid football offensively, you don't turn the ball over, you got a better chance to win than when you do turn it over.
How is that possible? They've turned it over less than almost any team through 9 games since like the advent of the forward pass. Like it's
3
staggering.
turnovers through 9 games, Jay, total. That's the least since 1933 when they began tracking the stat.
It's incredible because they're doing a lot of things that require lots of concentration. It's not like they're just in the I formation handing it to Adrian Peterson or whatever. They're doing zone reads and fly motions and counter boots, and they're doing a lot of things that require a lot of skill in handling the football. And hats off to them. It's unbelievable the attention to detail that they have.
What do you think of their offensive plan? Seems perspicacious to me.
Their offensive plan?
Yeah, it was a perspicacious offensive plan.
What the hell does that mean?
We had a call. We were doing a segment about
Just
10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And we were asking people what one word best described the game. And one guy called in and said it was perspicacious, which we just learned means having a ready insight into an understanding of things. And I said I was going to just drop a question on you.
Just ask Jay
with that word and that you might react kind of how you did.
Yeah. I never heard of that word, and I knew you didn't either. I knew you made that up
until
somehow,
about
you're not a multi-syllable user either.
Look, I'm 15 minutes ahead of you, Jay. Okay, I learned that word.
I learned all about perspicaciousness.
In the 4 o'clock hour today.
I can't even pronounce all these guys' names between Zacchaeus and Biadaj and all these guys. Man, they got the weird names over here.
Let's workshop.
I'm very limited.
Let's workshop that because you're a big fan.
I changed his name. His name is Biadash right now, so that's just the way it is. Sorry.
You're not going with Biadash. You're not going
Hell
there.
No, it's Biadash. No, I'm not changing now.
I'm happy
I
with
changed his name.
Okay, good enough for me. It sounds better the way you say it anyway. Seriously, though, what'd you think of – I mean, they ended up just grounding the Giants into submission with the running game in the second half. And Daniels, I think, was 6 of 11, sub 100 yards. They didn't really put the ball in his hands, and when they did, they made plays.
Yeah, they did. And, some key throws by him that just, are really good. The 1 and 4 minute drill to OZ was an incredible throw, great play design. The deep high cross, I think it was, in cover 2, it was a nice throw. But he just manages the game, man. He's got so much calm. He's so calm and so poised back there. He's having fun, does a great job. Their defense struggled a little bit there in the fourth quarter, gave up 2 long touchdown drives, but just been impressed way they can end games, and they seal the deal with, either Jayden throwing it or running it, or they can hand the ball up between the tackles or outside. So offensively, they've been very impressive. Defensively, a little concern there late in the fourth quarter, but not too much.
Jay Gruden with us here on G&D. And Jay, you were part of this over the years, but for whatever reason, regardless of personnel, coaching, et cetera, as the organizations have changed, it just feels like Washington hasn't played the Giants tremendously well. Like, even when the Giants are bad and say Washington's pretty good, it's always a rock fight. And then vice versa, it's always these are weird games. So for anybody outside looking in, people might ask, why is a team that's 7-2 beating a 2-7 team? Why are you treating this like it's a big deal? But us fans that have been here, we know they don't play particularly well against New York. Why do you think that is? And what makes playing up there such a tough place to play?
Well, it's a division game. There's a lot of pride, a lot of history in this game. So, you go a couple other divisions too, the Packers and Lions and Bears or whoever it is, these division games matter to organizations. Browns, Bengals. I can remember Mike Brown, our owner, walking into us, whatever our record was. This is an important game. We have to beat the Browns. And it's that way with the Giants and Commanders, Cowboys and Giants. I mean, you're going to have tough, hard-fought games most likely when you play teams twice in your own division.
What'd you make of the fact that without Brian Robinson, Eckler in the first half was kind of the bell cow, and then they went with Chris Rodriguez in the second half of the game, who's basically been on the practice squad all along. Like, we haven't seen him at all this season. McNichols was kind of the forgotten man for a week, but it just seemed like whoever they gave the ball to wasn't explosive, but it worked.
Yeah, that's been the most impressive thing with the Commanders, I think, this year, other than obviously Jayden's performance. Their ability to get people to get the ball to different people. They don't care, whether it's Rodriguez, whether it's McNichols, whether it's Eckler running game, whether it's Noah Brown, whether it's OZ, whether it's Zach Ertz, whoever it might be. They don't care. They get the ball to the open guy, and these guys have made plays. Having multiple weapons and unselfish football team matters a lot nowadays, and that's the way they play right now. I don't think when Jayden goes back to pass, he's not targeted on one guy. He's reading the defense. He's letting the play develop. He's getting the ball to the right guy, and the guys are producing. You don't see many drop passes. You don't see many fumbles. You don't see any wrong routes. Just very good execution of the offense so far.
That Giants team came in as one of the best pass rushing teams in the NFL. Only a couple of quarterback hits to show for it on the day. No, tackles for loss, really. No dominance, no sacks, certainly. Not much pressure. How did this offensive line do it against what we know is a good pass rushing group?
I think Cliff did a really good job of keeping them out of known passing situations. And when they did have them, the offensive line produced, like a 3rd and 9 where Jayden threw the ball to Eckler on a little shallow cross. The right guard Cosme missed, but he was able to drift away and hit Eckler wide open because the safety forgot to cover him. Then another 3rd and 9, he hit somebody else. I can't remember. I think it was Noah Brown on a high cross or whatever. So when they were known passing situations, they produced. He changed the protections. The one on 2nd and 9 to OZ was a max protection, 7-man protection, where they got 4 hands on Dexter Lawrence. So they didn't really ask Tyler to be in a one-on-one situation with Dexter Lawrence very often. Most of the time, they had 2 to 4 hands on him.
Brandon Coleman, 27 pass dropping snaps yesterday in his first full game at left tackle, 62 snaps total. They have not really let him play more than 50% of the time where he's been splitting with Lucas and going up against Burns one-on-one a ton, and he worked him. PFF gave him 0 pressures. It just seemed to me like you look back at the game, pretty much a bunch of stalemates for a 3rd-round pick. What'd you think of him?
Yeah, very impressive. Like I said before, there weren't a lot of known passing situations, and that's where Brian Burns flourishes. He's not a big 1st and 2nd down player. He's a get up the field, rush the passer type guy, more of a 3rd down rush specialist. When you have to ask him to play the run, play the zone read, play the inside zone, play the pin pull game, that ain't his style. I mean, he wants to rush the passer, and they weren't giving him an opportunity to rush very often. And when they did, I think he did a good job taking care of him.
It seems like they may have figured out in the 3rd round how to find their left tackle. Maybe it's a little early to say that, but he's certainly trending in that way. If that's the case, just thinking about the resources it normally takes in the same draft where you go quarterback in the top 5 and you can come back, and we were all screaming, hey, sign a left tackle, spend money. I thought it was outrageous. They didn't try to do more. And they said, no, we like this guy. We think, even though everyone else says he's a guard, he could be our left tackle. If they found their left tackle in the 3rd round, just how big a win is that organizationally?
That's a huge win. Anytime you find a left tackle anywhere, anytime, it's big. And he's showing that he has a lot of promise there. He's switched off some time early in the season, but to go after a veteran guy like a Brian Burns and perform the way he did is a great a deal for him. Now, I don't know if T.J. Watt's going to line up on the right side or left side, or not. We'll have to figure it out. Hopefully, he stays away from him. But that'll be the next matchup we'll have to take a look at.
Jay Gruden with us here on G&D. Trade deadline's tomorrow, Jay. What do you think they should grab? Like, what could they use in your mind?
I would say corner would be number 1 for me. Just another corner that can come in there and provide, some lockdown coverage type thing, so they can get a little bit more aggressive to help the run. I think they were playing a little bit more two-shell softly early in the game, and Tyrone Tracy had some good hits in there, and then they had to load up a little bit, and they stopped the run a little bit better. But they got to be able to play some man-to-man and play the box when they're starting to play Philly, who can really run the ball with Saquon. And you're going to have to hold up against Smith and obviously A.J. Brown. So that's my biggest concern moving forward, is how we're going to stop Saquon Barkley and still be able to protect our corners. That's why I think they could probably use another lockdown corner.
How cognizant would you be of kind of disrupting, rocking the boat here in this locker room where everybody seems to be pulling the rope in the same direction, and they got something really special here where everybody's, got 100% buy-in? Would you be, hesitant at all to add something, or you said, damn, the torpedoes, our culture's great?
Well, you never stay the same. You either get better or worse, don't you, Danny? And you still look at the Chiefs and what they're doing. They're making moves all over the place. Mm-hmm. They haven't lost a game in 14 games. So if you have a chance to better your football team, I think the football team appreciates it, really. I mean, if I was a player, and I saw a quality corner come in, like Lattimore come in, I'd be like, hey, let's go. Welcome to the team, buddy. Obviously you don't want to do too much of that, but to add a quality player like that can really help you take you to a level where you can compete for the division title, compete for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Hell, you got to take a chance, right?
I think so. I mean, I've been of the kind of belief, either way they go, I'm fine with most of the way in terms of being aggressive, going and making a move, or standing pat because it's early in the build. But at 7-2, looking around the division where it's a 2-horse race, and I think they're better than Philly at the moment. Dallas is dead in the water now. In the conference, it's Detroit's the only team that's, I'd say, definitively better than them. It would feel like a mistake to me not to give yourself a chance to win some playoff games, to try to improve your chances at making a run here. Would you go that far as to say they'd be making a mistake not to try to add?
I would say it's a mistake. It's got to be a right fit. And I think the good thing about Coach Quinn is he's got a pretty good pulse on the league, not just his team, but around the league. He's been in the league for a while. When he was Atlanta and Dallas, he knows defensive personnel pretty well. And if he sees a guy that would fit the culture and fit what he's trying to do defensively, whether it's cover 1 or more cover 2, maybe zone corner, whatever it might be, he has a chance to get somebody that is clearly better and gives them a better chance to win, then he'll do it, whether it's defensive tackle, defensive end, whatever it might be. I don't expect them to do a whole lot, maybe 1 or 2 guys, possibly, maybe 1. But that one guy can have a serious impact, and I think it would help.
Jay, as you look ahead to Washington's remaining schedule, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia coming up here in the next couple of weeks, but there's some very winnable games. I guess they're all pretty winnable when you're good, but just in terms of teams that may be down and out by the time that they see Washington, be it New Orleans or, who knows where Dallas' season is going to go, Tennessee, et cetera. Yeah. What do you think this team's ceiling is as constructed right now before they even make a trade?
I think they compete with anybody on the schedule, really, right? Obviously, Philly's going to be the toughest test. Pittsburgh will be tough. They play good defense typically, but they didn't look that great on defense the other night. So they got some holes up there. You just got to block TJ Watt and Hayward up the middle. Otherwise, you can attack them pretty good, I think, get after them. Dallas is obviously down, but Philadelphia will be the toughest test. Atlanta will be tough. But yeah, I'd say, I'm looking at from the worst case scenario, I'm looking at 11-6. Best case scenario, I'm thinking, 13-4.
That's outrageous.
My God.
Just to hear those words out of your mouth. They have not won 11 games organizationally since 1991, when your boy was 2 years old.
7th grade for me, Jay. 7th grade.
This offense is good, man. This offense is really, really good. This quarterback is playing out of his mind, and these guys, Anthony Lynn and Cliff, they're doing a really good job with them, obviously, but the balance that they have is really hard to stop. I mean, the running game that they have is very difficult to contend with. Every time Jayden Daniels puts that ball in somebody's belly, there's 2 guys on the backside looking at Jayden every time. That's opening up holes left and right. And when he does pull it, he's so athletic and elusive. Hell, there was a free nickel blitz against him. He didn't even blink. He ran around him like he was standing still, ran for a 20-yard gain. I mean, these are plays that this kid is making that is just makes defenses just pull their hair out.
It's unreal. All right, let's go around the league. Couple of other minutes here with Jay Gruden on Commanders. The Colts benched Anthony Richardson after 10 starts to go with Joe Flacco. He really struggled last night. That offense stunk up the joint in a 21-13 loss to the Vikings. What'd you make of the decision to bench Richardson after he had said he was tired, so he pulled himself out of the game?
Well, I think there's other variables into why he got benched as well. He threw a big pick and coming out that put his team in harm's way and wasn't protecting the ball. Wasn't making the easy throws, quite frankly. And the team sees that, and when you see Flacco, a veteran guy who can make those throws, he did it when Anthony was out earlier. They're 4-4. They got to make a run right now. They got to keep pace with Houston. And I think the coaches thought, hell, Flacco gives us a better chance to win. And I think the players appreciated that. The problem is they went against the defense that blitzes the hell out of you, and Flacco's not the perfect guy to play against Minnesota, that's for sure. I'm sure Flacco's like, hey, wait till next week. Let him play against Minnesota. I'll take the rest of them. So that was a tough situation for Flacco, and the fact that they couldn't run the ball at all with Jonathan Taylor was another big factor. So, Brian Flores just got after his ass.
3 straight wins here for the Rams. Then kind of looking back, they did this last year to a degree, right, Jay, where they got off to kind of a really slow, sort of rotten start. A bunch of one-score losses, Chicago, Green Bay, and then they've won 3 straight games. And now they've won 4 out of 6. And you go, wait a minute, they're 4-4, and nobody's really taken charge of that division. They're very much in it, kind of back from the dead.
Yeah, they are. Getting Puka and Cooper helps a lot, and Matthews is stud. We know that. And the running game is very solid. But I'm very interested to see how their young defense holds up. Chris Shula is doing a good job in his first year as coordinator over there. and they have some good young defensive players. Verse they drafted, and a couple other young guys. Linebacker is really, really good. So see how they hold up when they play the likes of San Francisco and Arizona again and all that stuff. But I've been impressed with them. They obviously have a chance to win a division and go pretty far.
The Lions beat the Packers going away 24-14 in the rain. Kind of a lot like Washington's win, honestly. Just a workman-like victory. Jared Goff threw for 145 and a touchdown, and the game was never really close. Are they the best team in the NFL right now?
No, I still think Kansas City is the best, but I think Detroit's the best team in NFC just because offensively they can do a lot of different things. They don't need to throw the ball 30 times. They're best when they throw it like 18 to 20 times and let those two backs eat. The offensive line's outstanding. They have good tight end presence, but Gibbs and Montgomery are monsters. And obviously Jared Goff, when you give him some pre-snap keys and some single high coverages where he can read them, he lets the ball fly and anticipates throws, and he's accurate. And Ben Johnson does a great job. So, yeah, they're pretty good. I still am concerned, though, about this Dan Campbell guy. I mean, he went for it twice on fourth down there that he really doesn't have to, but I'm hoping it doesn't cost him like it cost him against San Fran in the playoffs. It worked last night, worked Sunday, but hopefully it continues to work.
MCDC.
Sometimes field goals are okay to take.
Motor City Dan Campbell. Yeah, bit him in the butt in the NFC title game, to your point, last year. In that same division, the Bears are 4-4. Really bad loss in Arizona. So last week you had the Hail Mary play where you had a defensive player, talking to dudes in the crowd. The video circulating, I don't know if you've seen it today, is DJ Moore, who kind of runs out of bounds on a scramble play with Williams, who keeps the play alive. And then either he gets a little banged up or he just thinks he's burned himself because he can't catch a ball. So he just walks to the bench in the middle of the play while Williams cuts back and goes the other way. So it's now 10-11. What do you make of the Bears? Moore also, by the way, went on the radio today. I saw somewhere, and he was asked if Eberflus has lost the locker room. He said, "I'm not going to say no." What
That's
do you
tough.
think? What do you think about this?
Well, that's an issue. I've been there when things are going bad. The problem is they're 4-4, 4-5. I mean, they're not totally out of it. But they're struggling, and the Hail Mary play is icing on the cake, and then it's hard to recover from something like that when you have a game one where you're 5-3, now you're 4-5 or whatever your record is. I don't know. And Caleb's struggling. I've been watching Caleb. He shows flashes of being pretty good, but he's still not letting the ball fly. He's scrambling around like a madman, and there's no real rhyme or reason for why he gets out of the pocket as often as he does. The offensive line, I guess, is not very good. But obviously, DJ is very frustrated. He caught a lot of balls last year. Hell, he had 200 yards against Washington last year. These receivers, they want the ball. And if they don't get the ball, they get frustrated, and then fingers get pointed at each other, and coaches get fired.
Jay, the Ravens, to me, have had some of the highest ceiling moments of any team this season, and then also some baffling letdowns where either they let teams back into the game or lose the game entirely. Like a couple of their losses are just horrendous. But to me, they're still as scary as anybody else. Look at what they did this weekend to Denver, for example. Where are you at on Baltimore?
Yeah, they're obviously the most they're as talented as anybody, but they've done this, seems like the last 3 or 4 years with Lamar. Whenever Lamar plays a full season, it seems like they win 12 games handily, and there's 4 or 5 games. You're like, what the hell? Who just showed up? And they give up some games. That's the consistency that they have is pretty damn good for most of the year. But when they have a bad game and they have a couple bad situations, they don't react very well for some reason. But I think that's a championship mindset they have to have, because they're going to have some tough games coming up with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, who's fighting for their life. Obviously, Kansas City in the playoffs eventually will probably take place. So they're damn good, though. This Derrick Henry guy and Lamar together in the backfield, really good. Zay Flowers making big plays. Obviously, Mark Andrews, Bateman is doing some good things. But they just got to do it consistently.